You know, there's a phrase I like quite a bit. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and women in tech. Let's talk about it. A super noble goal. Yeah, get more women into computer programming and all these different tech fields and STEM fields because, let's be honest, even though women don't prefer doing that, we need to for equality's purposes. Well, there was a recent Women in Tech conference, the Grace Hopper conference, and men flooded that conference despite the fact that it was a women-only event by putting non-binary on the checkbox. They didn't have to look like women, they didn't have to dress like women, they could look just like your boy here, or let's be honest, probably more masculine. So let's get into this article covering such an astounding turn of events. You brought this on yourselves, women. Men overrun Grace Hopper Women in Tech Conference by registering as non-binary. When you create a stupid system, don't be surprised when people exploit it, and that's exactly what happened over the weekend when the conference for women in tech was swamped by men who registered under the guise of non-binary. I mean, hey, if this is a Women in Tech conference, I'm not sure where it was, I'm sure the article will get to it, but I'm gonna just make the wild assumption that it was California. And when you go ahead and vote for all these liberal, left-leaning Democrat policies that say things like gender and sex don't matter, and it's all on a spectrum, and it's just totally needs to be accepted by everyone for every reason, and then you decide to make a women's only event, you can't get upset that this is happening. The reason I found out about this is because I genuinely saw a bunch of upset bitches on on X, talking about how, it was Instagram. I saw a bunch of upset women on Instagram because how could these men come in and invade their spaces? Well, I thought they weren't men. I thought that they were women. You've got to call them as such. But all of a sudden, now that it's affecting you openly in more than just women's sports, now that it's affecting you also in the workplace where you can make a little bit of cash, now you're starting to see things, our way. I don't think it works like that, girls. The Grace Hopper Celebration is an annual conference and career fair designed to bring the research and career interest of women in computing to the forefront. But this year, droves of men descended on the Orlando event. Okay, so what's going on in Florida? Even better! Orlando event with resumes in hand, and some reportedly even cut lines and shoved women out of the way to submit their resumes to potential employers. I mean, look, we've already been saying for years now that trans community, they can get away with anything. They could probably stab a baby, and the person that complains about it is the one that's going to go to jail for, being upset against a marginalized member of a community. So, yeah, I could totally see these dudes claiming to be non-binary, pushing women out the way, and there being absolutely no fucks given, really, by the conference team, by the people that run the event, because, I can't do anything. They're a marginalized people. We don't want this conference slapped with a hate crime. I mean, it's Florida, so I bet the conference knows what's going on, but it's also, the tech field, so even in Florida, it's probably still pretty blue. It could go either way. Let's keep going. Female attendees expressed their frustration on social media. These men are acting like zoo animals. You cannot call them men. You are being incredibly bigoted by calling them men. These men are acting like zoo animals, sprinting to the booths and physically hurting some of the attendees, one person wrote. I thought there was no difference between men and women. How are they hurting these women? I thought that women could take whatever a man could take. That's why you want to have females and males, together in combat sports. You want a dude to be able to transition into a female and then just bust up a woman, because there is no differences. So how are these men hurting these attendees? You tell me. Product designer named Lily Lee said the men didn't attend the panels and seminars, rather they bolted straight for the job fair. In her TikTok video, she read comments from women who claimed they were bothered, harassed, and even hit on by some of the male No, they were hit on by some of the lesbian participants. Look, I'm sorry, you should take it as a compliment when some of these fine women with beards look at you and think, that's a pretty nice butt you got there. I've gone to a gay bar or two. Anytime a man hits on me, it's a nice confidence booster. I tell him, sorry, I'm not interested. I don't play for the same team as you. But it is a nice confidence booster. Shouldn't you ladies be a bit more accepting? Shouldn't you look at this and think, man, I love it when women compliment me, because normally women get angry just when I wear the same dress twice. This is a space for women in tech, another Grace Hopper attendee said. This is one of those few limited resources that isn't for you, it's for us. Well, then maybe you shouldn't have decided to destroy the lines between gender and between sex, because now everything is for everyone and there's not a thing you could do about it. This is a very, very teachable moment for you ladies to swing on over to our side. I don't want to cover nerd culture, Spider-Man, Sonic the Hedgehog, things like that, and about how left-leaning Democratic policies, and a lot of times, the right-leaning culture stuff as well, has destroyed nerd culture. What's nerdier than computers and tech? You see a bunch of people going to MIT in the 70s building these first computers. The vast majority of them were male. It's been a pretty male-dominated space. We've been experiencing this for a long time now, especially since about 2014 or so, and you've been telling us, oh, whatever, we're angry incel, white, bigoted males, and we're the reason for all your guys' problems. All of a sudden, you're gonna come rushing us and be like, hey, we're experiencing these issues. Yeah, we tried to tell you, but you're so empathetic. Oh, you're such a good person that you had to call us the angry incels. No. This is a problem. Now you're experiencing it. Maybe you should change your tune, come on over to our side and be like, all right, you men may have had a point. We got some work to do. We got some fights to fight against this garbage community. Because, yeah, now your spaces are under attack. And I know a lot of men probably aren't going to want to fight to save them because at this point you've done this to yourself. We've spent the last several years arguing for women's spaces, and you've been just voting for the same policies over and over that have made this more and more normal, that have made this common, that have made dudes who can cosplay as women pretty much the norm in society when that should not be the norm. Chaos was the word of the day from a woman named Pretty Ladwa. Alright, many men attending as non-allies overstep boundaries. We witnessed inappropriate comments, breaches of personal space, and a sheer lack of decorum. I mean, let's take a look.
Career conference for females in tech was taken over by male attendees.
They were there just purely for the career fair.
Social media clips filmed at the Grace Hopper, the world's largest gathering of women technologists, show men standing in line to meet with recruiters.
This is a space for women in tech. This is one of those...
Is it, again, if it was a space for women in tech, then why was there a non-binary option on your little checkbox? Like the only checkbox that should have been there was woman. Now, granted, you probably still have dudes going and be like, I identify as a woman, check that box. But if it was specifically for women in tech, then why was there a non-binary box? You played yourself.
Those few limited resources that isn't for you, it's for us.
Some of the male attendees reportedly lied about being non-binary just to get in.
But it's interesting that
anyone who claims they're non-binary is lying about being non-binary because it is a binary.
The large majority of the people that actually ended up in the event had name tags with he, him, and have no searchable history of identifying as non-binary.
Several tech workers...
Someone starts claiming to be non-binary at a women's only event, they could actually get them a job and get the money, and everyone turns into fucking Batman doing their detective work on the internet.
And at the men for trying to capitalize on job opportunities not meant for them, saying that the entire concept was wrong.
Let's be honest, there is no need for a conference just for women, because if it was the opposite, just for men, then it would be sexist.
Facts.
Just because you are a woman doesn't give you the right to talk to a big firm recruiter. Guys work just as hard and they don't get that chance.
Big facts. Absolute big facts. If this was reverse situation, it was a dudes only conference, it would absolutely be shut down for sexism. It doesn't even have to be with something as big a deal as, like conferences and tech jobs. I remember, this has been several years ago, probably half a decade. I think it was D&D Beyond. I was on a D&D Beyond forum or some sort of similar Dungeons and Dragons forum, and someone was asking for an all-male group. They did not want females, and they just wanted to run an all-male group. That forum, that request got shut down for being sexist. But they did allow in the rules for women to talk about having all-women sessions. You could be a female and request an all-woman, all-female player, DM, campaign, group people. That way women felt safe without men around. But you couldn't do the reverse. So yeah, this is absolutely truthful. Anita B., the nonprofit that runs the conference, said on LinkedIn there was an increase in participation of self-identifying males at this year's event. The nonprofit noted it cannot ban men from attending because of federal non-discrimination protections. Oh, that law that you worked so hard to put in place is now biting you right in the ass. I'm all for businesses being able to discriminate for whatever they want. And then you know what? If let's say they discriminate against somebody for being black and then it gets out into the community, then people stop going there and that restaurant gets shut down, for example, because they run out of business. No, I think that people should be able to run their business how they want, and then you let the market decide if you want to continue supporting trash companies that do things like that. But that's just me. I'm all for giving the power to the people. I mean, I guess Yes, that's my toxic trait. It gets so bad, though, the organization's chief impact officer stood up to the conference to explain that some registrants had lied about their gender identity. No, you cannot come out there and claim that they lied about their gender identity. That is transphobic. I hope you get slapped with some sort of lawsuit about, or about these non-discrimination protections. I hope that all these men, who I'm sure, I believe in my heart of hearts, are truly non-binary, because you could change at any time. All these men woke up that morning and realized, I'm not a man, I am non-binary. And now, the fact that you don't believe them, you hateful bigot. Men were now taking up space with time with recruiters that should go to women. All these are limited resources to which you have no right, he said. So they've got a dude, a message to cis men. They have a dude telling other dudes they're faking it. Like, if this is a conference for women in tech, why is the head honcho a guy?
This is supposed to be a joyous event that centers around you.
Okay, maybe I said guy, but beta male, but male nonetheless.
There are a far greater number of cisgender men attending than we anticipated. Simply put,
Oh, we're not going to listen to a minute and 45 seconds of that. Within the first 15 seconds, he says cisgender men. Nah, we're moving on. Bo Young Lee, a Need to Be's advisory president, posted a video on LinkedIn on Friday with a response to the criticism. She said the event always felt like a safe and loving and embracing place in the past. What, do you not feel safe being around non-binary people? Do you think that non-binary people, they could cause trouble for you, that they're out there and they're willing to touch you and harass you and do all these negative things to you? That, I don't know. I've always been told that the LGBT community is so loving and there's nothing wrong with being around them. So I don't know why you don't feel like you're in a safe space. It sounds like you've got some issues with the LGBT community that you've got to work on, Bo Young. This year, I must admit, it didn't feel this way, she said, and I know that many of you felt the same. Many of you are feeling unsafe physically and psychologically. You're feeling unheard. We try to create a safe space, and this week we saw the outside world creep in. This makes me angry. It makes me sad. But mostly, it makes me want to fight. Maybe you're taking your fight to the wrong people. You want to send this fight against, all these straight men who decide to intervene in our space. Maybe this is, this is because of a system that you created. If you would just join us and take this fight to the actual people out there, the ones that do cosplay as women and steal everything, your jobs, your rights or protections, your women-only spaces, maybe they're the ones you should be fighting against, because it was their influence that allowed this loophole in the first place. These dudes pretending to be chicks, they ain't chicks, and you should not be, for all your empathy, your good-hearted, estrogen-driven empathy, welcoming them into your spaces, because then it's no longer a woman's-only space. And I'm sorry, just because some regular dudes here decide to take advantage of a loophole to attempt to get some good jobs, it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for you women being so okay with your own identity and your own culture being destroyed from within by dudes who pretend that they're chicks. Cool, let's keep the same energy when it comes to women's sports, locker rooms, prisons, and other private spaces. Agreed. Facts. Big facts. It's a shame what happened to Grace Hopper, but when you create a system that allows women to be marginalized under the banner of love and inclusivity, this is what happens. And it's interesting that a group of tech nerds motivated by numbers and facts is even entertaining the charade that men can be women. Hopefully the organizers will take this lesson and make sure next year's women's conference is open only to women. A wild concept, I know. I love this story. I love this story so much because it shows women the utter ridiculousness of the world that we live in now, and more importantly than that, it shows them their role in creating that world with their faux empathy and their want to just be left alone to their own feminine devices away from men because men make them feel so unsafe. But they feel completely safe being around somebody who's got such mental problems that they can be a dude and think that they're a chick. But here we have an example of women getting absolutely what they deserve. And not only am I glad this happened due to the sheer ridiculousness of it, I hope some of those regular dudes pretending to be chicks just for this event got well-paying jobs to show them, it's been happening in the trans community. We saw that women or dudes who pretend to be women, they get all these awards, Women of the Year, the woman athlete, Leah Thomas being called the greatest female athlete in the history of swimming sports or whatnot. This is going to happen in tech too. It's going to happen with jobs. And I guess it goes to show that men are better than women, even at doing things that supposedly only women can do. Now, obviously, a boy doesn't hold that same thought process. I think that women are great at some things, I'm sure. But yeah, all in all, this is a fantastic article. And yes, I went a little hokey and tongue-in-cheek with it. This is not my actual views on women 9 times out of 10. But if women are going to be so absurd to the point that they cannot acknowledge that they should not be allowing dudes cosplaying as women into their events, then I'm going to also go with the absurd parody that all women are morons. And I'm going to take that to the nth degree, just like they have with this trans ideology and acceptance. But those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word. And please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news almost every day. I do take Tuesdays off. Other than that, cover nerdy news almost every day, sometimes multiple videos a day. So do check on that. I got plenty of videos in the back catalog, whether it be about anime, Magic the Gathering, video games, you name it. I also do have an Instagram now. You can check it out at wordsofparadise_Leon. Would love to see, for you to give it a follow and check out some of the things I do on my time off. I'll be posting a lot of events from the upcoming Magic the Gathering regional qualifier I'm going to. And until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. And this has been Words of Paradise.